All right, so I'm sure a lot of you have siblings, or at least most of you, and you can agree with me when you say that you argue a lot, especially as kids. And don't get me wrong, I love my siblings. Couldn't even imagine what my life would be without them. But we argue a lot. But the one thing that makes us siblings is that we'll always be willing to do anything for each other in order to protect each other and make each other better. And it's kind of the same relationship we have with God. God will always be there no matter what we do to make sure that we're protected and we will be okay. And that is why he sent his son to die on the cross. It wasn't his desire for his son to die. It was his desire to save us from sin and protect us from death. He just knew that in order to do that, his son had to die. And he was willing to do it because it meant that we'd be saved. God sent Jesus down so that we could have a good life. And sometimes we mistake what a good life means. We sometimes think that a good life means having a big house, a good job, a big family, lots of pets. But really, a good life is living with God. And that's what we were saved to do, so that we could live with God and live in his word and be protected from death and someday live with him for all of eternity. That's what a good life really means. It reminds me of a story I heard. So, the FBI has their top 10 most wanted list. And in history, there have been 500 people on that list, 20 of which have been women. Now, back in the 60s, I believe, there was a woman, and two women actually, who got on this list. They did it by robbing a bank, and sadly 8 people were killed in the process, 3 of which were cops. This was enough to get them on the list, but they got away, went into hiding. 3 weeks later, one of the women were caught, but the other one was able to live on for 40 years without being caught, was able to evade the police and just live her life. 40 years after it happened, she was hiding out in a church for 3 days. And while there, she overheard one of the sermons at the church. On that day, she found God. She realized what she had done and asked for forgiveness. Less than a week later, she turned herself in. After 40 years, she could have gotten away, lived the rest of her life until she died. But she found God and decided to turn herself in. That right there is the reason that Jesus died for us, so that we could know that we had forgiveness and that we can always be redeemed for the things we've done. And God will always forgive us no matter what. Please pray with me. Dear God, thank you for sending Jesus down to us. Thank you for saving us from sin and protecting us from death so that we may live with you in eternity. Thank you for giving us all that we have here today, letting us all be here to thank you and thank Jesus for what you have done for us. Amen.